We are recording.
Okay, cool. I had a question actually, because when I was putting together, when I did that post about getting stories for my book, I had asked for stories, and so I was wondering if, are you still interested in contributing to that, or?
Yeah, you want to just do it over video? That would be better for me, actually. I'm not much of a writer.
Yeah, that's what I was actually thinking, because you told me last time that you're more comfortable talking than you are texting or whatever.
Absolutely.
So, is it all kind of in your head already?
Yeah, we could do it right now, for sure. How far along are you with the book? Still research?
No. I mean, I have all my research done and everything. I've done quite a bit of the writing. I would say like 80% or something. A lot of it is editing and everything, but especially as far as compiling the stories goes, I don't have that complete yet, so it would help quite a bit.
Sure, yeah. Well, okay. Let's see. Try to go back as far as I can.
Yeah.
Kind of trying to follow the format that you have a little bit too, because it seems helpful. Because we have to like reconstruct events in a way because it happened organically, right? So,
but tell your story, whatever way is comfortable for you, whatever way is natural. There is no preset for how everybody remembers their pre-birth memories. Some carry them from birth, and others just get them in one big kind of flashback, like I did.
Right. I feel like I've always known, but although it's been different levels of knowing, and throughout my life, I feel like I have thought that maybe it was something I have made up from time to time as some kind of coping mechanism for something. And then sometimes I've known it was true, but my memory begins in a white room, and I feel like the room is full of people, but I can't see anybody. All I can see is the white room, and I can almost hear like chatter, like people talking, but it's like I can't discern anything. And I feel like, oh, go ahead.
Do you think that this chatter that you hear, did it feel like it's kind of a telepathic type thing or anything like that? I noticed people say that a lot.
It was like, it was just there. Yeah, it was in my head. I don't know if it was like audible. I don't think I had ears. But yeah. So I couldn't see like my body or
information, voices, something like that.
Yeah. Not even been words. It might have been information. It was just like input of some kind. There was like some kind of stimulus going on of some kind. And I didn't feel alone was really the point, right? I knew I was together with others in this room.
Mm.
And so I felt like I waited for an eternity, but then it was my turn, and at the same time it kind of felt like the snap of a finger. Like it was eternity and also a very short amount of time at the same time.
Exactly. I think you have a perception of how long it is, but somehow you process it very quickly.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes sense. Or it's almost like time isn't even a factor or something.
Yeah. And I think it's funny even to this day when people try to like contemplate eternity. It's like, I don't know about forever. I'm like, what's the no? It's nothing. It's everything and it's nothing at the same time. Like, what's so hard to understand about that? To me, it seems like such a simple thing. But see, I'm in this room and I get called, and just like you talked about, I went through this freaking black tunnel into this giant black room that was like ever expansive kind of room.
You started in a bright room and went into a dark room, which is exactly like mine.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And it was like it was like the Matrix, right? Except it was a black room instead of a white room. You know, it was just like, it didn't have boundaries.
No, that's what I felt also. Like I couldn't tell where this room ended or began, really. I felt I was in a room. That's all I could say. And for me, I felt like there were almost like pillars, but I couldn't see any other features of the room other than the pillars and the window or the portal, whatever it was.
Right. And I couldn't see pillars, but I have this feeling that comes back to me in meditation. It's like in meditation, when I get into that meditative state, I can see the room, right? I can see the couch, I can see the table, but at the same time, they're right in front of me, but they're also an immense distance away.
Yeah.
There was no boundaries, but there were in the room, but there weren't. I don't remember any features whatsoever, just black. But it still felt like a room, even though it kind of wasn't. And I started talking with this being. I only remember a singular being, but there might have been more. I have no recollection of what the being looked like at all. I just remember having a pretty extensive conversation with this being. They told me I say they, but he told me I was going to Earth, and I was upset by this because I'd been there before and I knew what it was about, and I don't think I'd had a very good experience there prior. And you know, I did not have a lot of hope for the things that would happen there. But he was told, based on the things I needed to learn as a soul to develop, that I needed to go, and that he would let me choose my parents, because I don't know why, but he said that not a lot of people get to do this, but some people do, and you're the one we've chosen to do this.
Okay, so specifically you were chosen, they said. Because I've wondered the same thing for myself, like, why me? Was it some kind of punishment, or was it actually because maybe I was the best qualified for some certain task or something to that effect? What did you think?
I feel like because of my experiences in the life before and how I failed at my life's purpose, because I believe I killed myself in a prior life.
Oh, the very previous life to this one.
Yeah, the one right before, when I did I did some pre-life or was it past life regression?
Yeah.
Had the memory of running through grass fields with my hands extended, feeling the grass, and then I jumped off a cliff into some rocks by the ocean. So the earth popped up and these little bubbles popped up, and it had like information in the bubbles. It wasn't just a video. It was like, it contained more than a video. It was like information bubbles that gave me little snapshots into the families, like what their relationships were like, what their values were, and things like that. And I kind of got a basic understanding of what these families were about. And it kind of went around the world. I remember specifically like a family from India for some reason, and then a couple other families from different, the one from India speaks to me for some reason. I just remember that. And then I went to the family I was born in, and I picked them. Probably from what we were talking about, it was familiar, because I think that was kind of the lineage I was from, but they were also in the United States. I don't know. But it was familiar, but enough of the same that it kind of made sense. And I kind of remember questioning, you know, based on my life's purpose that at the time I knew, I don't know it now. It just made sense. It fit. You know, it was going to serve the purpose that it needed to serve.
Yeah.
So I picked them, and then I was about to go, and right before I left, I stopped, and I had a second thought, and I asked the being, I go, how am I going to remember to stay on task? I failed so miserably last time, right? And he gave me the memory to help me stay on task for the last purpose. Yeah.
He just did it like that. He didn't have to go and have a discussion with any other guides or.
Not that I remember. No.
No.
I think he just did it.
Do you remember how he did it exactly? Like, was there some kind of ritual involved there, or did he touch you, or he was
I don't
just
have a
like,
memory. Yeah, it felt
no?
like it was just like,
What I've, yeah, something interesting when I've talked about this aspect of the process of remembering with other people, and when I've read it in stories on like Out of Body Research Foundation, um, people talk about feeling like they're being blessed by a group of beings or something like that. Like they have to raise it up in the person's consciousness or something before they can really hold on to the memory. Or I don't know what that blessing was really all about. Maybe it was a blessing, or maybe it was something to help them remember. But I remember that personally, and some other people I've talked to remember something similar.
yeah.
So you don't remember a group. You only remember that specific main guy.
But it wasn't like a personal. It wasn't like it was one individual being, but it like felt way bigger than an individual, if that made sense.
Okay. So it could have been like almost like a collective consciousness communicating with you.
Yeah, that's always made sense to me. Yeah.
Wow. That's cool.
And then as a kid, I remember in kindergarten, probably the first time I really started. But I don't know, as a kid, I feel like I can't tell if it was just me or if every kid feels like adults always have their priorities all screwed up. I don't know if that's just a thing that kids feel or if that's just something I felt, but I always just felt like people just had really weird, stupid priorities.
Not even adults, but other peers of my age. I felt like, why do they care about all this kind of stuff? You know?
Yeah, that's the wrong thing to care about. And then from there, my story's pretty similar to yours. I had researched it several times on the internet, and then, one day I found a couple things, and then, another year I found you guys, and then, it just like all of a sudden it was like this crazy explosion of all these people online talking about it. And I've talked about it pretty openly for a few years before this happened, just because I kind of enjoy talking about things that other people don't like talking about.
And things that make people uncomfortable, maybe.
Yeah, it's this whole hidden side of ourselves that no one acknowledges.
Hmm. And maybe they don't know how to talk about it either, because it's not really taught in the culture about how to talk about these kind of things. Maybe in
Right.
more tribal cultures where you have shamans and everything, that it's part of their society, part of their daily life. They're more open about talking about it. But in Western society, it's so dominated by either religion or the education system. So people don't know how to express these ideas, and they feel like maybe they're alone in what they experience. They're some kind of freak, and nobody else has these things. Nobody else goes through this stuff.
Yeah, and you're gonna feel that way until you talk about it.
Yeah, that's the amazing thing. And I think a lot of people are learning that now with this, just by making this group and by putting out more of these videos and everything. I mean, I'm not the only one who's putting out videos about it. And so this is all kind of getting bigger exponentially, I think, and that's going to be even more so once this movie comes out.
Yeah. And it's not about any one person with this memory. It's about the memory.
Yeah.
And about what it means for humanity. Right? That's what it is.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see if this whole thing with coronavirus plays a big role in that, and the reason why we're remembering.
Yeah, I mean, isolation breeds self-reflection.
Yeah, and that's something, I mean, I've been doing my whole life, but maybe not everybody has the opportunity to do that kind of thing so often. Everybody's going to their 9-to-5 jobs and everything. Me, I've actually been working from home for a lot of my adult life. Not all of it, but quite a lot of it, doing freelance web design and graphic design. So when I'm not doing that, I'm pretty much researching and running this group, and I spend a lot of time in introspection. But
Yeah.
not that many people do that. Not many people study their dreams or anything like that. They get up in the morning and they go through their routine. They have breakfast and they run off to work or school or whatever it is they do. And they come back home a few hours before they have to go to bed. They spend a little time with their family or friends, and they do it all over and over and over again. So
yeah, it's kind of
I feel fortunate in that regard.
Carl Jung talked about it a lot. You know, the ancient mystery schools, like you know, the Rosicrucians were part of these ancient mystery schools. You know, they had the Masons were a small part, and then you have who else? I mean, the Golden Dawn is part of the ancient mystery school practice. I mean, there was a ton of it. All the Hermetic communities, that all that stuff, they were part of the ancient mystery schools. Ancient Egyptian theology, all those things. There was a ton of them all around the world, and they had these processes of personal transformation. And
I like that word. I've been thinking about it a lot lately. Is it like taking some situation that you've been through in your life that might be perceived as negative, and finding a way to get power out of it or something?
Well, they all require problems. Transformation, actually, I don't believe is possible without adversity. And it has to be really big. I think that's why the beings had to give us problems.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that question. Like, I was going to say, because we all have this question that we've been asking in the group, and even in near-death experience groups, they always ask the question of, why do we have to go through difficult lives? And sometimes it doesn't feel like we have satisfactory answers for that, but maybe this, what you're talking about here, this transformation process, that makes sense.
Transformation isn't possible without adversity.
Yeah.
So we have to have it. That's why it's given to us. It's actually our gift that they've given us. But I think that's part of whether we are fulfilling our life's purpose or not, is whether we have taken part of this process of transformation. I mean, there's even a Bible verse that sounds so crazy that Romans 2:12, I think, something like that. But
be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Exactly, man. It's crazy. And that's how you know the will of God. That's what it said. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind, you know the will of God. It's like, wow. There it is. It's right there.
But I mean, some people are satisfying just living the way they are. And, you know, there's a lot of different philosophies about life. There's people who say that we are just fine the way we are forever. We don't have to develop ourselves. We're accepted and loved and everything. And
that's not
maybe
true.
That's true.
It's not true.
Yeah. I tend to think I've always had a drive for personal development, whether or not I am loved and everything, because I feel like one should always be trying to do better and making the world a better place and making themselves better and everything. So yeah, I mean, whether or not I'm loved, it doesn't mean I don't need to change. I think that change is like inevitable. It's something you need to do as an energy being. If you stagnate, then you may as well not exist, you know.
They didn't give us these problems for the first option to be a reality.
If change weren't important, we would still be exactly the same as a species as we were like thousands or millions of years ago.
The world is feeling very powerless. But the reality of the situation is we are just as powerless as we were 10 years ago.
Yes.
But we cannot deny it now.
Yeah, and we can actually use this situation to give ourselves more power also.
Yeah.
If we choose to. So it's all a matter of perspective and how we act on it.
Yeah.
That's the thing. I mean, it's not necessarily just pre-birth memories that will help the world. I mean, there's all kinds of things that have been happening over the past like 50 years or so. You were going to talk a little about psychedelics, maybe. I mean, you have that. People have been looking to psychedelics, and then people have been having like near-death experiences and out-of-body experiences and spiritually transformative experiences. All these different kinds of things are kind of contributing to the same process of people looking inward.
Right.
Whereas they normally wouldn't. Like for us, it's been there our whole life, but for other people, it has to kind of be thrust upon them out of nowhere, like midlife, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. With psychedelics, I believe that in the 1960s and 70s, it transformed humanity. And, and largely in some ways, I think it's being misused today. And for the most part, as far as like humanity's consciousness is gone, its time has passed. But for the individual people, occasionally it can still be helpful.
Yeah.
I think if humanity got back on that level again, which we kind of are, I think it does more damage than good. Because it can, you know, Carl Jung said that a spiritual experience or a transformation or whatever that isn't earned isn't really worth as much. Yeah, it has to be earned. And it has to be earned through the pain and suffering and the
Yeah.
adversity. That's the difference.
Well, is it really a transformation then if there wasn't the pain and suffering to begin with? It's more just a kind of entertainment experience or something otherwise.
It can be as little as an entertainment.
Yeah. That's what I've been noticing. Like there's a lot of people that they take psychedelics when they're young and they're just doing it at parties and everything. And they're just like, whoa, dude, the colors and everything. And so
even some
really...
people that even do it in ceremonies, you know, with ayahuasca and stuff like that. A lot of people are going there and they're basically like unconscious, like subconscious tourists. Like they're just like tourists in their subconscious, but they're not like really seekers of a transformation and a solution.
They call them psychonauts, like they're similar to astronauts, but exploring the inner space rather than the outer space.
Yeah, they're like the Japanese tourists at Disney World, like taking all the pictures, like
or to compare with other people how crazy experiences they can have. Like, dude, I met this guy, I met this being, and I saw this, and oh yeah, well I saw this and this and this. So it's rather than actually learning something and growing from it, they're just kind of, I don't know. Like I said, it's like a contest.
But you know, there's always outliers too. You know. Well, yeah. I mean, I've had that experience several times where I've come out of my body in that same way, and I always hear the snap. There's been several other occasions. One time was in a sweat lodge. In a sweat lodge, and it was really hot, obviously. And then
That's interesting because, you know, I've had a theory that, because, you know, I'm Finnish and we have something much like sweat lodges, which is the sauna, of course.
Yeah.
And so I think there's something about heating up the body. It does something to you, like changes your electrical system a little bit. It increases the conductivity or something. So maybe it does something on a spiritual level also.
I think so, yeah. I know a couple native shaman used to do that, and there was one guy, Frank Foolscrow. He used to go into the sweat, and he would be in there like a week or two. And like he would be totally unconscious for like a week or two in the sweat, totally just out of his body, doing his thing. Yep.
For me, I mean, whenever I go to use a sauna at home, I don't have that radical experiences. But when I go to sleep after, I tend to have much more vivid dreams and everything. And then when I would go on vacations, we would go into the mountains, and you know, you go to these ski cabins that are up west of here, between Sweden and Norway, and they have saunas there. So I would hardcore sauna like 4 or 5 days in a row. And at the end of that, when I had my near-death experience, that was after like 4 or 5 days of extreme hiking in the mountains, mountain climbing, and then sauna at the end of the day. So I think that played a big role in why I had my near-death experience. And I've been back there several times, and each time I seem to have some kind of, I meet the guides or something.
There's also something about the mountains. There's always like some
Yeah,
kind of mythical creature that lives at the top of the mountain, or some kind of something like that, and closer to God or something like that, or like, some connection to the Tower of Babylon, but it's a nature that's made that or something.
I have one theory about it, and that is that, the Earth, of course, has this electromagnetic field that surrounds it. And down here at this altitude, we might not be in as solid of a connection with that as we could be up in the mountains. So
Hmm.
um, that might have a lot to do with it.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we have like magnetic receptors in our brain even, so.
I remember back in the day, I got really into like the God helmet stuff. There was this,
Okay.
you know about that?
Oh yeah, that was actually developed by this professor at Laurentian University in Sudbury, where I was
Yeah,
born.
yeah. The God helmet guy. That guy was cool.
Now that I've read about it and everything, I kind of regret that I wasn't around at the time when those experiments were happening.
Right. And
I
then
would
he
have
even
liked to get
said
it.
there was like this girl that was having these like crazy ghost experiences in her house in a bed,
Yeah,
and then they like removed an alarm clock that was next to her that had like a similar electromagnetic signal, and it all like just disappeared.
wow. I've heard that guy died now,
Did he?
that
I didn't hear
professor.
that.
Yeah. So I don't know what's going on if those experiments are still continuing on some level or not, but it was interesting. It had potential. Mm.
It seems like we're all just so inundated with electronics. It'd almost be like doing a study on like breathing air in human beings. Like, where are you gonna find a control group? Like,
That's why I think that's another reason why I think about going into the mountains, because not only are we getting closer to the Earth's magnetic field, where maybe we tap into the collective consciousness or something like heaven, or I don't know what it is, but we're also getting away from all the electronics.
yeah, that's true.
Maybe a lot of people don't even know how to use Zoom. Maybe they don't have it installed. Kind of like with me, I had to install it just to do this. So
True. Yeah. Well, I could. If anybody has questions, I'll walk them through it.
maybe offer a download link even. That might encourage.
Yeah.
We might have our work cut out for us as far as getting other people participating. It might take a few times of doing this.
Yeah. Let's just do it though.
Yeah. And I still think that if you're interested in doing every now and then, like maybe every week or something, we could get together with a preset or predetermined set of ideas or things that we want to cover
I think
and do.
it might even be nice if we found like a specific time and a specific day on a regular basis. That's how we get people
Yeah,
to come.
I think so.
Yeah, consistency helps a
Yeah.
lot.
Probably easier on the weekends.
Yeah.
A lot more people home from work, although, of course, that
What day
doesn't
is it
apply.
for you right now?
It's Friday night.
Okay, it's
Early
Saturday.
Saturday morning.
Yeah, it's 1:30 p.m.
In
Saturday
the
for me.
afternoon.
Yeah.
4:30 a.m. for me.
But you're just crazy like that. You're just up
I
all
am.
the damn time.
The last time we talked, I was up until 9 o'clock in the morning. Tell me really quick, actually, I forgot to get back to this. You said you had visited a past life regressionist?
Yeah, 3 times. So it
Really?
wasn't crazy intensive. Yeah, I remember a few years ago I mentioned it on the chat on the group that I was doing that in Hawaii.
Do you think they were pretty good then? The one that you
It
visited?
was okay. It was okay. It was even a little strange by my standards.
Yeah.
My opinion of the woman that was doing it was kind of questionable, but
how did she operate then? I mean, my understanding of it is that they're not supposed to influence anything really about what you're remembering, and that would be my concern, that I'm having memories or anything really planted in my head that didn't actually happen. So what I understand is that they're supposed to start with something very simple, like a doorway, and you're supposed to visualize the doorway and feel the knob and all that kind of stuff, and then open the door yourself and go through and tell them what you see on the other side. Was it something like that in your case? Or
Yeah, there's actually no reason we couldn't do this to each other over the video chat. Because what she did was she set up, so she got me firmly visually planted in now and got me to describe like the surroundings now in my mind's eye. And then I went into this box that was connected to a line that was time. And then in the box, I was able to travel forward and backward and then go through a door and like describe things.
Okay.
So yeah, real similar.
Was that hard for you to do, or?
Yeah, it was really hard. And even when I started seeing stuff, I started questioning it immediately.
That you were just making it up just to tell her something and bullshit her a little bit, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, it just started fitting with stuff that I read in pre-birth memory stuff. I mean, that's the only reason I kind of halfway even accepted it.
Did you have to do a lot of preparation before you started talking? Like, did you have to relax, do some breathing exercises or anything like that?
Yeah. And I pretty much treated it like I was preparing for a sweat.
Yeah.
So before a sweat, you fast for a day and you don't drink any caffeine.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah, you drink a lot of water. So I just did it like that. And then I smudged beforehand too. So
smudged?
Yeah, like abalone shell, sage, water.
I guess we can probably stop waiting for somebody to join, because I mean, I don't really have my hopes up as far as tonight goes, but
do you want to come up with a time? I don't know how that works internationally, because no one understands like minus 10 kilo and then the time.
Yeah. Well, what we could do is I can make a post asking people, just get them to comment what day would work for them the best, and then we'll see what the majority say.
Yeah, maybe talk about some of the stuff we've come to the conclusion of, or like maybe if we had some goals, or
Hopefully we can get at least 2 more people. That would be cool. I think
cool.
it might be a little too chaotic if we have more than 4 or 5 people.
No, there's formats. There's ways you can do it. You have to mute them enough.
It's this hand raising feature, right?
Yeah, the hand raising feature, or you can actually do it here, and the person in charge can actually go in, and since I'm the host, like I can mute you. I just muted your audio right there, right? And then I can go in and unmute you and all that. So I have the host has the capability to keep order.
That's good.
And then if you get somebody like what's her face in here, you just boot them all together and then lock the meeting.
Yeah.
So.
And if you get like a special guest or something, like for example Pete Doctor.
Yeah, that'd be great to have like speakers.
Yeah.
And then like a Q&A afterwards. That would be way cool.
Oh yeah, for sure. And I mean, then I could definitely do the editing and put it up on my Pre-Birth Memories YouTube channel after.
There's also a chat, so if somebody has questions, you can send them in the chat that way, and we can ask them after the fact and all that,
Nice.
So there's options. I think if we just keep doing this and let the format kind of organically show itself to us, kind of like what we're doing on Earth for the beings up there, then we should be all right.
Yeah, exactly. Sometimes things just take a little practice getting used to it, and let it organically develop. We were going to talk about Pete Docter a bit in that Soul movie. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
want to say too
go
much
ahead.
about it, but I just want to really try this feature, and I've been waiting for him to respond to me, but he hasn't yet.
Let's watch the trailer.
And then optimize screen sharing for video. Okay, let's try it again. Here we go. Fingers crossed.
It's working.
What is this place?
What's your name, honey?
I'm Joe. I teach middle school band. How'd it go for it? Today started out as the best day of my life.
Back here tonight, first show's at 7.
Yes! Woohoo! You know what that's gonna say? Joe Gardner. I did it. I got the gig.
Must have been sudden for you.
Nice.
Help! I'm not done! Oh my goodness! Huh? Is this heaven?
No, it's the great before. This is where new souls get their personalities, quirks, and interests before they go to work.
I don't want to go to Earth. I'm fighting this. I don't want to.
That's me.
Okay, look, I already know everything about Earth, and I don't want anything to do with it.
You're missing out on the joys of life, like pizza. I can't smell. We can't taste either?
All that stuff is in your body.
No smell, no taste.
Or touch. See?
Okay, I get it. Wow, it's my life.
Is all this living really worth dying for? You're still alive?
Can you help me get back?
No way!
There I am. What are we waiting for?
Wait, not me!
That's weird.
What is it?
151,000 souls going to the great beyond every day, and I count every single one of them. The count's off.
Huh.
Yeah, pretty cool.
Yeah, I like it. That's gonna be a good movie.
It's pretty amazing, all the similarities then, don't you think?
Yeah, I like the kind of white spaces and the lines and stuff, and then the big opening where they're jumping off into the earth and everything is pretty good.
Yeah, what's interesting about that for me is, you know, when I've read Pre-Birth Memories once again on like Out of Body Research Foundation or any of those sites, people always talk about a screen and it's either oval or it's round.
Yeah.
And I was wondering why there would be that kind of discrepancy, right? And then it struck me that
You're either
would
looking at
depend
the
on
perspective.
Yeah, it depends on the angle that you're looking from.
Yeah.
I have another video that I'm going to share that's related to it. It's an interview with Pete Docter, very short.
Yeah.
And I mean, I was thinking to myself that maybe he wouldn't really want, if he had a memory himself, maybe he wouldn't really want to talk about it openly. But it seems like in this interview, he's dropping some clues about why he made the movie and everything. So it could be pretty cool to check out. Just let me know if the volume is too loud or whatever.
I could probably have it turned up. There we go.
Son was born, and seconds after he was in the world, he looked at him and he was already there, like who he was and like his personality. And so I think that was the ultimate question of like, how does that happen?
Yeah, where did we come from? Why are we here? Look, you know, we are totally passionate people. We get to pour our everything into what we do, and yet is that really the best use of what we have? What are we here for? I mean, it gets to some deep stuff.
Who hasn't questioned like what they were meant to do, you know, in their life, in their job, and say, well, is this what I was always meant to do? Should I be doing something else? So, you know, we're trying to tell a story where a character quite literally
Message that
gets
guy
to
too.
what he was put on this earth to do.
Well, a couple ways. I mean, Jamie Foxx is our lead, and he is so buoyant and optimistic about his potential and what he's doing that I think is a great contrast, actually.
Buddy film, isn't it? Yeah. What a combination in a buddy film. Someone who's a teacher, who's endlessly optimistic, going up against someone who basically can't be inspired by anything. I mean, so...
and when we also get to visit this world of souls who have, you know, not yet been born, and they are very funny and goofy, and so there's a lot of entertainment that we're finding in those characters as well.
No, but I mean, you get the sense that he was kind of holding back a little bit.
Yeah. He knew more than he was saying. Yeah. We should find his agent. We should find anybody we can possibly find, and just like message a bunch of people, message the co-director, like maybe even some of the cast and their agents.
Yeah, that would be cool. Yeah, we got to get somebody who's been involved in this movie directly. And I mean, ideally it would be him, because I mean, I think he knows the most as far as what the backstory is, what really drove the development of the movie and what inspired it and everything. Like he's had that theme, I think, something to do with that imagery of pre-birth memories. I said, even in Inside Out, it was very similar.
It was, yeah. And then Coco, he did Coco too.
Okay. Have you seen that one? I haven't.
Yeah, it's all about the afterlife too.
Seriously. So he's got something going, something he wants to get across.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, with Soul, like what sticks out to me, obviously, is the pre-birth memory imagery, this great before stuff, but it seems like it incorporates elements of both, like near-death experiences and pre-birth memories. So that's pretty cool. It's like it's covering the overall journey of the soul, what happens before they're born, and then their life, finding their purpose or whatever, or what the character is finding what he thinks is his purpose. He thinks that he's supposed to be like this star musician or something like that. And then so he has his near-death experience, and it brings back this flood of memories, maybe. Yeah. Maybe that's what happens during a lot of near-death experiences. They actually recall what happened before their life or something.
Yeah. Maybe.
And then so he gets like a perspective shift kind of, and discovers that maybe being a musician isn't the most important thing. Maybe it was something to do with the teaching that he was doing already. Something small in there. Maybe he helped some kid, a lot of kids or whatever. So
yeah, that's cool. I like it.
Yeah.
Maybe some more people will talk about it too. Because I think it's a way more common belief than we know.
Oh yeah.
I think a lot of people have this.
Yeah. That's really going to be the interesting thing for me over the next. Oh, I got a message there. But over the next year, especially after Soul gets released and everything, it's probably going to cause a huge, I hope, a huge boost in traffic to the group and my videos and everything.
Yeah, that'd be great. Hopefully it's not a bunch of, fluff, but.
Yeah. I don't really want, like, a lot of riffraff joining or anything like that. So
like, what's her face?
Yeah, we have actually a huge amount of applications that have come in for joining the group, but I'm always very careful reading their answers and their profiles and everything, and seeing who's serious actually about joining. And for the most part, I think I've done an okay job of that. But
there's always a couple that slip through the cracks.
Yeah, exactly. No, but anyway, I think.
Man.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe we can cut off here for now.
Sounds good.
Or something.
Yeah, I'll send you the email if I get the email for the video.
Yeah. Cool.
And I'm going to go ahead and stop now.
All right. See you later, man.